And welcome back to the Erasmus Expeditions. We are here tonight with session, whatever you want to call it, 16 of Evermore le Masquerade. Tonight's session is going to be titled Shadows of Mardival. This game is a D&D 5th edition campaign that is ongoing, whatever, and is based heavily on the Baroque periods of Spain, France, Venice, with a little bit of Orlais from the Dragon Age franchise kind of sprinkled in. Yeah, I think before we get started, I'm going to give the same warnings that I give at the beginning of all of my games, and that is, if foul language and mature subject matter are things that bother you, then this is not a good channel, honestly, for you to watch anything on. Especially this game, this campaign, there will not ever be explicit sexuality, but there will be a ton of innuendo, and we're going to get about as close as we can get. So, If those things do not bother you, then welcome. Come on in. Have a seat. I think I'm going to go ahead and pass things over to my players so that they can introduce themselves, tell you what they might have going on, where you may be able to find them on the internet, and all of that good stuff before we get started. So first up, we're going to throw a curveball in here. Karen.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Karen, also Myth and Gears. Where can you find me? Well, you can find me right here. I am here right now, and I'll be here again later this month. And I can also be found on Mini Train Domain. In fact, we have a game, Cthulhu Mythos, tomorrow night. I'm pretty excited about that. So if you like Call of Cthulhu or want to see us get scared out of our little booties, then you should come on over there tomorrow night. I'm very excited about this game. Cannot wait to get back into it. And tonight I get to play Cameron Diego Ruiz Gonzaga at your service. And I will pass it on to Austin.
I'm Austin. I'm so excited to get back into this game after such a long break away. I can't wait to see how this terrible wedding continues. We're all fucked. I think that pretty much covers it. So I'm playing Guillaume, and I am very excited to do so. And so I will pass it to M to keep this popcorn-y thing going.
Hi, I'm M. I am playing Sylvie, and you can also find me on Mini Train Domain twice a week. Yesterday, we are doing some finding of the paths in our new Pathfinder 2e campaign, and then Thursdays I do Kids on Bikes, which has been really great, really exciting. We're doing 80s, which I can't say is nostalgic because I wasn't even a thought, but it's still lots of fun. So I will pass it over to Matt.
Hello, everyone. I'm Matt. I run a channel called A Fistful of Dice, and I also write RPG books over at Absolute Tabletop. Actually working on something new right now called Aether Nexus, which is a new fantasy game powered by the Mecha Hack, and it's basically just me wanting to write an Escaflowne game and also have like skyships and stuff. So that's what I'm making Tim and Barker do with me. And it's been a lot of fun so far. And if you want to check it out, you can find me on Twitter at MattClick, and I've been spamming links to it. So tonight I'm playing Loxley LaCroix, and man, I can't wait to find out what happens tonight. I think it's going to be an interesting session. Oh, and I'll pass it off to Kenya.
Hey, everybody. I'm Kenya Sen. You can really find me here. And then on Sundays, on my channel on Twitch in the mornings, I stream the game that I run 3 years ongoing. It's been, yeah, tonight I am playing Vera Marion Wynn Messinero, who is the madam of the local brothel, high class brothel in the city, and our resident bard, whose secrets are starting to come out, and so it's fun. And I am extremely nervous about this evening at this vampire wedding that we are at. It is going to be just a hoot nanny. And before I pass it back to Jeremy, I want to mention very quickly, a very, very, very good friend of mine is doing a charity mini painting stream on Friday. And I'll put the link in the chat, but she is raising money for the Sarcoma Foundation of America. Her brother passed away from sarcoma about 4 years ago, I believe, 5 years ago at this point, I think. And She does this every year, and she has tons of amazing giveaways: Starbucks coffee, art from D20 Monkey, things that have to do with Roll20, items for Roll20 and stuff. So she's doing it all day. I'll throw her channel up. Her name is Kalisandra. She's the Kalisandra on Twitch, and I appreciate, Jeremy, you allowing me to kind of brag her up, because she is a talented little mini painter who is getting very she's progressing very well, and it has been very nice watching her talent grow as she has been doing this, and it is for a good cause. So if you guys want to stop by, it'd be great. Thanks. And now it's going back to Jeremy. I've delayed the inevitable horrible vampire wedding as long as I possibly can now.
Well, again, nothing bad ever happens in this game. You're all fine. But yes, absolutely on. Thank you for sharing that, Karen. Not Karen, Kenya. Sorry, juggling too many things at once. But thank you very much for bringing that up. Make sure to drop the link in the chat so that everybody can go check that out. And the best of luck to the charity this weekend. Oh, the Hounds of Hell have bayed. That means it must be time to start. So unless we have any further adieus, then I think we can go ahead and roll into this. Cool. Let's do it. Mardival, the biggest celebration in all of Gerdes, is finally here. Aledalgo pulses with the heartbeat of young lovers, while joy and revelry are gifted from every balcony and open window in the city. There is an explosion of charity and frivolity, born anew in every person you meet. Confetti and flower petals rain from the skies, and everywhere you look, your eyes are dazzled by an armada of lights sailing upon the sea of decadence. We join the five of you at the wedding of Lavinia Strozzi and Marici Agneyassa. The bride and groom have finally arrived, presented by your host of this evening's extravaganza, Padre Primero Borjido. He introduces them as they enter. Ladies, gentlemen, folks of all persuasions, I present to you the Visconde and Viscondessa Agneyassa. You watch as Lavinia Strozzi, with her new husband in lockstep beside her, as they descend the grand staircase into the main area of this hall. Ooh. Where is the body? Need to find where I put the picture. I don't know where it went. Oh well. So as we join the five of you, watching the couple begin to greet all of their guests in turn, many people likewise moving into the orbit of the Padre Primero to shake his hand, ask him about various business or gossip. What are the five of you doing?
Vera has she is, I think last session we had just got done, she is wearing that gown that basically kind of embodies, it has this massive gold headdress mask combination thing that looks like a sun, and then it's this kind of a white dress that basically it just looks like sunbeams kind of shining down her body as she's standing there. And she has been spending her time so far at this joyous event, kind of just mingling and talking to people. There was a brief interlude where she got a glass of wine from the wine fountain and attempted to kind of see if it smelled like it was poisoned or something. I believe it smelled like coppery. Didn't it smell coppery
Yeah.
when it was
Yeah, it had a little bit of a
kind
coppery,
yeah,
kind of
yeah, like a
metallic
copper
taste.
tinge to
Mhm.
like a little metallic kind of tasting a little coppery and funny. She has
Kind
not
of like
been
when you
partaking.
bite your lip, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Suspicious at the vampire wedding. And yeah, so she is kind of just mingling, and as the announcement is being made and the padre is walking around, she is maintaining the proper level of attention to show that she is not outrightedly snubbing, but she's not making an attempt to personally congratulate or greet the padre or anything. She's staying far enough away that she feels comfortable, but yet not being rude.
Guillaume is munching on cheese in a bag and occasionally poking his head out, just to scan the room, kind of sniff around, see if he's really particularly trying to sniff out any like undead or like if there are any like vampires lurking. I assume that they would have probably a slightly different odor than a normal person, but
Yeah, perhaps there's also a lot of perfume at work in this room. If not more than what you may be used to. It's also mingled with a lot of smells of food and things that are being prepared. However, you might sense a little bit of the smell of decay, like maybe as like an undertone to it all.
I know Chimeran was spending most of his time kind of looking like he's mingling, but mainly staying to the outsides, the outskirts of the room itself, keeping an eye on like the exits, making sure, that we still have a way to get out if shit happens, because, we're expecting something crazy to happen here. And he's keeping an eye out, was kind of waiting for Lavinia and her husband to kind of arrive. And just basically just keeping an eye out and waiting for the thing that's going to happen at this wedding, because something is going to happen and we need to be prepared.
Sylvie is just walking around, I think maybe stopping even being stopped every so often by one of the patrons there who had made she had made something for mask, part of a dress, jacket. She is maintaining like civility and politeness, but kind of removing herself from that conversation as soon as she possibly can, every so often returning to the snack area, where all the and sneakily putting like little bits of cheese in her bag where Guillaume is, and just another keeping an eye out. I think that maybe if she sees that one of her companions are in one area, she's going to make a point of making sure she's in another area, just to make sure that kind of everything gets covered at all times, but still maintaining that like eyesight line whenever possible.
Lox would sort of be like prowling the outskirts, but doing so in a way that looks sort of natural. And he will occasionally like take a drink off of a tray as he passes by, or, you know, grabs an hors d'oeuvre or something. He passes Sylvie once and like tosses a shrimp into the bag, just sort of slyly as they pass each other. And he'll like engage in banter with some of the other guests. People are very interested in like the outfit he's wearing and are asking about the designer and stuff. And so he's able to schmooze a little bit. But honestly, he would mostly be kind of keeping an eye out for everyone else. He's kind of doing that like parent head count thing where he's just like sort of like scanning and being like 1, 2, 3, 4, like just like making sure that everyone's there. But obviously also kind of keeping an eye out for anything that looks particularly suspicious at this vampire wedding, which we are attending.
So, is anybody drinking the Olvida that is being offered? No?
I'm
No, Vera
pretending
actually
to.
is.
Fine vintage?
Yeah, I'm pretending to. I'm holding it, not drinking. Nope.
Vera is occasionally sipping from a flask that she keeps kind of stuck in like her garter belt and stuff. She pulls it out every once in a while and drinks a little bit of it. And if she's asked why she's not having any of the wine, she's trying to watch her figure. So the wine is just too sweet for her. So
Okay. We see the five of you making your way around this kind of tiled floor that's been polished to the point of being almost mirror-like. And we see the five of you milling about to different areas throughout the evening. And we notice that you come close, to a couple of the conversations that the bride or the groom or both, or perhaps even the padre might be having. And I need each one of you, please, to make both perception and insight checks. Oh, Austin, this is based on sight, so it does not have your usual schnoz involved.
Figured as
Okay.
Wow. Okay, just for the record, I got a 1 and then a 20. So I don't know what I saw, but I know so much about it.
The 20 was your insight? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. So far we have 1, 2, 3 insights and... Okay. So, interesting. Oh, no? Perception. Oh, wow, the perception was lower for everyone. Interesting. Or no, except for Sylvie. Okay. So, all of you except for Sylvie come to the realization at some point throughout the course of the evening that there seems to be no small amount of sexual tension that is being suppressed, but it undoubtedly, in your minds at least, exists between Lavinia and Lugarico, the Padre Primero, and that there does not seem to be very much chemistry between Lavinia and her husband, Marici. They appear to be faking their affections for one another.
Guillaume is just thinking, I know that. Like, wait, I know that look on Lavinia. That's the look when she's faking being in love with somebody. Like, I know that look so well.
Makes good sense. Okay. So, um, each one of you, if you would, describe to me someone or a piece of conversation that you have or overhear throughout the course of this evening.
I think there would be some point Vera would probably be approached by kind of a taller, just average sized build gentleman, and they would be talking for a bit, and the topic of when the because while everyone here is masked, it's not difficult to figure out who's who typically, especially with someone like Vera who's runs in these circles and stuff a lot with all of these people. But the topic would come up of the chateau and the question of when the Madame Leonilda Bertani is going to be returning. Asking after her health, how she's been. Have I heard from her? What are her travels like? And something like that. And Vera would be having a very pleasant conversation. Yes, I've heard from her. Well, I can't recall exactly the last time I heard from her, but eventually she usually ends up showing at some point between now and the winter months. Every year and a half or so. It just kind of depends on what she's in the mood for. But yeah, she would be coming back eventually, and the chateau, or the Castillo is running very well. You should definitely come and visit. And we've had some remodeling done in some of the rooms. One room in particular would probably fall right in line with this gentleman's particular design choices, we'll say. And that would be her kind of conversation snippets that she would have.
Perfect.
I think that Lox would maybe be approached by a younger nobleman who fancies himself a swordsman or a duelist, and he would approach and kind of start talking Lox up about the saber that he keeps at his side, and he sort of like takes a couple guesses at some like swordsmiths in the area, like, oh, is that so and so's work? And Lox would just like look down at this like silver weapon. He has no idea like what its origins, and it's like this kind of strange mystical piece of weaponry. And so he's just kind of like, I got so many of these dang things, I can't even remember where this one comes from. It's just one of my showier pieces. And the nobleman would maybe try and start, well, maybe we can do some sparring sometime, you and I. Are you any good with it? And Lox would say, I'm rustier than I used to be, I guess. You'd probably wipe the floor with me, friend. And he would very quickly try and get out of that conversation to do something more important.
I think Sylvie's walking around, nodding to some of the people, looking at their dresses, when she gets tapped on the shoulder. And as she turns with this grin, it suddenly falters, as it is one of the wait staff. And she recognizes this person. And the smile quickly comes back as the person looks to her and passes by her, and in another language mutters under his breath, just loud enough for her to hear, "Have you visited your father lately?" And Sylvie kind of like stiffens at that, as she looks down at the tray he's holding, which I like to think isn't even filled with anything, but she says, "Oh no, I am so sorry. I could not eat another bite. I am just simply not hungry," as she gives this tight grin, but quickly tries to navigate away from this person.
As Chimeron's making his rounds, he happens to pass by these two women, elegantly dressed, but nothing like that stands out, like super expensive, but definitely well enough off. And he passes by just in time to hear the one lady complain to the other lady about how angry her husband was the other day because he had to, his shipments out of the city were delayed because he had to find someone new to protect his wares on the road, because the man he'd hired, Nicodemus, didn't show up at the allotted time, and he was in such a foul mood, and she couldn't placate him without, she had to resort to letting him dip into the wine barrels quite considerably before he would even remotely come down from his temper. And she starts carrying on about that.
Guillaume, as he gnaws his cheese, overhears just a slight bit of conversation from someone probably near Sylvie. As someone saying, like, "Yes, the problem is, of course, my wife. She found out about my mistress, and of course, this is problem, but not as big of a problem as they started spending time together. They like each other more than they like me at this point. I've barely seen either in a week. It's been a problem." And the other guy just kind of like, "Oh yes," kind of just that like a quiet agreement, and like, I have nothing to add. Like,
Perfect. At some point, Vera, you hear your name called, and turning, you see Vidova Devellino kind of gliding across the floor to you, looking tragic and sad. Once more, the widow of Alidalgo approaches with her daughter, the alchemist, in tow. who looks far less pleased about being here. And this woman, as she glides across the floor, even after having called your name and moving towards you, is scanning the crowd, much like Locks might be, although you get the feeling that more than likely she's looking for a future Lord Devellino, or perhaps a future husband for her daughter. As she closes the distance between the two of you, she waves politely, and as she nears you, she says, "Did your friend happen to come with you this evening?"
Vera will kind of she'll, when she gets approached by the woman, she'll kind of reach out and give her a little bit of a not like a shake, but like a dainty little kind of like a hand touch thing that maybe they do. I feel like with everyone wearing masks at these events, especially these big extravagant ones, the classic kind of cheek kissing thing gets a little cumbersome when you've got like sunbeams and stuff coming off the top of your head. So she greets with a very common like Gerdes style kind of like little hand touch that they might do. She'll look over at the daughter behind her and answer the woman. "No, I'm sorry to report he was I have not seen him. I can't recall the last time I saw Guillaume in any sort of state to be attending anything like this." And
Oh, yes, the Visconde, of course. Yes, please tell him the next time that you see him that he was missed. But I understand, if there is trouble with the Justicaros, as to why he may not have attended. But I was referring to the young attendant that you brought by the house.
there is a kind of a sparkle in Vera's eyes behind the mask, and her mouth kind of tightens, and there's that very kind of sleek smile. And do not believe, at least he has not attended with me, but I don't know if it's on his plans. I mean, obviously he will be attending the festival at some point this week. I'm not sure. I don't think he's working this evening, so he may show up fashionably late.
And he is an employee of yours at the Castillo?
He is, yes.
Interesting.
Would you like to? I mean, you can reach out at any time if you'd like.
No, visiting such an establishment is not the type of thing that I do. No offense meant to you.
None taken. But for our more refined clientele, we have been known to make house calls.
She kind of contemplates this silently for a long moment. It would be lovely to host you again for a lunch, perhaps.
Perhaps. If you don't happen to run into him during the festival this week, then perhaps after we could have lunch.
This week would be preferable.
Well, then this
but
week.
I can certainly make it worth your while.
Well, I would appreciate that. I don't think this week will be a problem. And she'll kind of wait until the woman's eyes are kind of like maybe scanning the crowd over her shoulder at one point, and she's going to look around at the daughter, and she's going to kind of give the daughter a very playful, and we have a secret, kind of like a little quick wink behind her mask.
Yeah, she's kind of like finishing up her third or fourth eye roll whenever you kind of give this wink, and she kind of smiles to herself and casts her eyes kind of away. The mother very quickly, apparently being satisfied that business is concluded, she begins immediately going back to her kind of hawkish glance of the group of people here at the wedding, and spies someone else. Oh, and she kind of like holds up her hand, to get their attention, calls their name, and glides away from you without any further ado.
Vera will kind of reach out for a moment, and she'll look over at the daughter, at Ramanda, and she will, dear, do you have a moment? And she'll kind of pull her aside.
She kind of like looks after her mother, who is oblivious to the fact that she's not right behind her, and is engaged in whatever, schmoozing that she's now moved on to. Then Primanda will kind of turn. Seems as though I may.
Wonderful. I really was just pulling you away from the dealings of your mother. You looked like you could use a break from it.
Yes. Thank you. It's very tiring.
I have known many women like her throughout my years, and they are always tiring.
She should have just brought a doll instead of me.
I mean, she should have just left you at home so you could work on what you want to work on.
That's what I said.
You're not having fun. She's not enjoying you being here because she has to probably constantly reprimand you for stand up straight, smile, try to. You're slouching again. Stand up. I'm sure this is a repeat of everything you've heard all night.
At least 3 times.
So, would you like to stand here and slouch for a few minutes? And I won't make you smile.
Thank you. And she kind of like lets out like a huge exhale, and her shoulders kind of roll forward.
And then
why are you here?
Huh?
Why are you here?
When you do what I do, you have certain social obligations that require you attend even the most, and she'll kind of lean in very conspiratorially to this girl, and ridiculous and
fake,
yes,
she
celebrations.
Kind of like crosses her arms across her chest, and like she already knows exactly what you're talking about. I don't know how you do it or why you do it. I couldn't stand it.
Well, it gets me close to those who have the secrets and to those who have the money. Together, those two things allow me to live a very comfortable lifestyle. Not to mention,
my mother
having
keeps
half
trying
the city
to marry me off to some rich fat man so that I can live a comfortable life, is what she keeps telling me, but I swear to God, I will kill him.
She wants to marry you off to a rich old man so that she can live a comfortable life in her old age. It has nothing to do with you, dear.
She keeps talking about that Visconde that you know, that I should marry him, but he's too old.
He is rather old. But, well, luckily for you, he's probably going to end up in prison, and then you won't be able to marry him.
That might make him cooler.
See, we're into the bad boys, into the rebels, are we?
She kind of blushes, which shows up very easily on her very pallid skin.
Don't worry, David. There's absolutely nothing wrong with a bad boy. They eventually break your heart, but they are oh so much fun.
She again kind of blushes, not responding with anything. Her mother then begins to call her name, and as you kind of both look over, there's some young, attractive man kind of with a bustling shirt and a, very large, busy mask that she is cornered, and she is trying very desperately to get Primanda to come over and speak with him. Primanda kind of rolls her eyes and her shoulders slouch even further. I should probably go.
You probably should. But are you eating or drinking anything while you're here tonight?
I've been trying to. Mother says I shouldn't.
Real quick before you leave, dear. I typically don't agree with anything your mother says, but do me a favor tonight. Just listen to her on that.
She kind of raises an eyebrow at you. Okay.
With your line of specialty, please just trust me.
I see. She kind of, her eyes flick over in the direction of the nearest, table of hors d'oeuvres and, maybe even where that fountain of Olvida sits off to one side. Okay. Well, then, in that case, I thank you for more than taking me away from my mother for a moment.
Well, now, straighten up, smile, go on.
You
She
do?
says, she just laughs. She's like, no, dear, I'm kidding. Just go be yourself. If he doesn't like you, fuck him.
She kind of turns and storms off. There are a lot of Aladalgan nobility who are present. Oops, sorry about that. Who are present here at the wedding. Many different actual nobility, many of the consigliere and consigliera who hold position here within the city itself. It's definitely kind of a who's who event, if you will. At some point, Sylvie, you are approached. Whoops, by. I just had his name and now I've lost it. Oh, there it is. A man by the name of Mercuzio de la Apozuelo. He is a human man who's somewhat older. He is a fairly well-known merchant that does not live here in Aladalgo. He approaches you and he says, "Forgive me, but you are the dressmaker, are you not?"
Sylvie smiles and, yes, I am. That is, I know my way around needle and thread, you could say.
Well, my wife purchased a rather expensive garment from your store, and I am afraid it will have to be returned.
Oh, was there something wrong with it?
No, no, there is simply something wrong with her. The dress is too expensive. And she is, well, she is growing large enough that it will no longer fit her.
Sylvie kind of sucks in her cheeks a little bit. She takes a step back and she looks at this gentleman. Knowing what she knows about fabrics, is he wearing, I imagine he's wearing something, or what is he wearing? I guess I'll just ask, like, the quality.
Yeah, he's got this, it's almost meant to kind of like mimic an armor like doublet. It's, tight at the waist, kind of broad at the shoulders, definitely meant to kind of accentuate, the male figure, quote unquote, and is made from rather fine fabrics, a lot of velvets and high quality leathers and things of that nature.
Yeah.
You do also, just as a side note, you do recognize the last name, at least. His wife is someone that you have spoken to. She came to one of your showings. She is an elven woman who has one arm. Yeah.
She just kind of just takes that brief look and smiles, and I do yes, I see here the finery of your outfit here, the leather and the various velvet, and I see that color is quite rare. This must have been quite an expensive outfit for you to wear. But what do I see here? And she like doesn't touch him, but like it just like ever so slightly hovers her hand over a seam on his side. I see that this is a little bit pulling there, maybe you've been to a few too many parties, maybe getting a little bit older, I hear that happens a lot. And so, I someone of your stature and experience, I don't know that this outfit is so good for you, but you can tell your wife that she can come to my shop whenever, and I will give her back the money that she spent. She may keep the dress. Think of it as a gift for the company that she must keep.
He glares at you. You should expect her in the coming weeks.
She smiles.
I expect every copper piece to be returned.
She smiles and looks, and if you ever need any of your outfits to be adjusted, let out a little bit, let me know. I'll offer you a discount.
Certainly. Perhaps you should hold your breath, he says as he then spins on his heels and walks away haughtily.
She is like bristling right now, as is Scanada, is she here?
She is not.
Your bag is like vibrating. You can feel like tiny rat rage inside this bag.
Yeah, like you see, yeah, Sylvie just lets out this like, and the nerve of some people, as she shakes her head. She looks, though, she's very curious that he came and she did not. So she's going to like look after him a little, like just see where he goes and who he talks to. If yeah.
At some point, he would stride straight up to the Padre, regardless of whoever else he's currently speaking to. And just as frankly and brashly as he approached and spoke with you, he speaks to the Padre in the same manner. When he's done speaking to the Padre, he makes a straight line towards the exit, gets into a carriage, and leaves.
Interesting. Yeah, Sylvie takes a note of that, but is like talking to her bag as she does so. She that was very interesting. What a vile man. She says she kind of like, I think that a little bit of her stature appears, that she just ever quietly spits on the ground and turns around and walks back into the party.
Okay. At one point, Guillermo, you hear a familiar voice. If you dare to peek out of your bag, you see your father, Visconde Estote, speaking with someone at a table nearby. They're delicately asking about you. And knowing your father as well as you do, he is maintaining his composure, but you can tell that beneath the surface he is seethingly angry. Probably due to embarrassment.
Guillaume's gonna just kind of look around, see if there's like an alcove or something. And as soon as he can find like an area that seems like it's away from prying eyes, he's going to just kind of like nudge into Sylvie like through the bag, and kind of like pop his head out and just like poke his like nose over in that direction. Just like make eye contact until it gets to the point where you're like, you can tell. And we like head over there, and he's gonna, just as soon as we're there, he's just gonna like very discreetly climb out of the bag, scurry down Sylvie's like big elaborate dress, and like kind of trying to stay behind her, shift back into human form, but then as quickly as as soon as he's in human form, he's going to cast disguise self, and just because like it's kind of his standard, he's going to go with the same like kind of nondescript person that he was, for example, when he was pretending to be Vera's attendant.
I was going to ask.
And he's still got the mask on though, so he's not showing his face currently. But then he's going to just kind of head back over to where his father is and try to like kind of listen in for another minute, trying to kind of look like he's just milling about.
Okay. You arrive back in time to basically hear him say, "No, I have not seen him in some time. He has taken his leave from my villa." I am certain that he is okay, and all of this business with the Justicaros, I'm sure in time will work itself out.
As soon as it seems like it's like enough of a pause that he can kind of come in, like he's going to come in again, totally just sounding different, looking completely different. He's like, excuse me, Monsignor. I was wondering if I might have a moment of your time. I was a student at the college, and I would like to speak to you if I may.
Ah, certainly, of course. Excuse me, he says to the others who he's been conversing with, and kind of will move with you off to the side. What is it that I can do for you?
All right. I need you to just keep acting like we're talking, chatting, catching up on old things. I know it doesn't look like it, but it's me.
What do you mean?
He'll kind of
What are you
make eye
playing
contact.
at?
Father, it's me. And he'll let his voice like switch back for just a moment, kind of drop it out. Father, it's really me. I've had to disguise myself for obvious reasons.
The expression on his face drains along with the color in his cheeks.
We're having a lively conversation, catching up, remember? And he'll like smile and make some gestures.
What are you doing here? Are you crazy?
Long story short, you just listen. Have you already had any of the wine?
Mi olvida? He looks
Yes.
down and he's got a glass of it in his hand. Of course.
All right, you've made your appearances. You've been here. I think you need to leave. I think something bad is going to happen. I can't be sure, but trust me when I say Lavinia, she's behind much of this. It's more complicated, but I think it's safer if I don't tell you too much.
You disappear for days on end without any word, any contact whatsoever. You're wanted for more than one murder.
None of which I
And now
committed.
you show up at this party disguised, and you start babbling on about what is this nonsense about, Guillaume?
It's far too much to explain right now, right here. But there's something really bad going on in El Hidalgo.
Worse than murders?
A fair bit. And please, I know we've spoken about this, but you have to believe me. I had nothing to do with that. I barely even knew the man that I'm accused of killing. But that's all beside the point now. There's bigger things going on, and I'm working on what I can to stop them. But please, just for my peace of mind, could you find an excuse to go? And if you can, maybe it's a good time to go on a trip. Maybe get out of town for a few weeks. I promise you, when you come back, either you will never have to worry about answering questions about me ever again, or everything will be fine.
I don't understand what it is that you're doing and what it is that you're involved in, but you had damned well make sure that you clear your name, that you clear my name. Save the city if you must, but fix this, Guillaume.
Gonna kind of straighten up a bit. Really. After everything you tried to teach me and tried to instill in me about discipline and responsibility, I'm finally trying to do something good with very little hope of reward for myself. Maybe if I'm lucky, my name gets cleared, but that's all you care about? And he's going to, oh God.
Oh.
Yeah, I think he's pissed at this. The fact that this is the response he's getting. He's going to reach into his pocket and pull out the envelope that he always carries with him and pull out one of the two pieces of paper and hand it to his father. I'm not your problem. I never was. And now I don't have to be again. And he's going to go back to the alcove, shift to a rat, and try to get back in Sylvie's bag and just like disappear.
Okay. By the time you shift,
and Jeremy, the note was the letter.
I figured that's
yes.
probably what it was. Yeah.
I'm keeping the ticket.
Okay. You have enough time to shift back, climb back into Sylvie's bag unnoticed. And the next time you go to look, your father is standing right where you left him, this letter in hand, opened, reading it right here in the middle of the room. And he finishes and he looks up hurriedly and kind of begins looking around the room as if looking for where you might have gone. He then chooses a direction, seemingly maybe even at random, and quickly heads off in that direction with the letter clutched in hand. Chimeran, you also hear a familiar voice. At some point, you are standing off to the side of where other people are dancing or something, and you hear someone introduce their husband as Marquis Arvenudo La Trompe. And you realize that the person speaking is Juanita. She is there with her husband, and they're both, doing what you do at these kinds of parties. They're talking, laughing, and trading gossip, talking about what their plans might be for the coming week of Mardival. Obviously, no recognition of you at all.
This voice startles Chimeran because she was supposed to have left the city. So this is not the voice that wanted to hear, and I think instinctively he kind of just like straightens and maybe takes a step back. And I'm assuming that at one point this is where there might have been a table there or something, and probably clatter either the plates on it, or glasses or something, and he turns to quickly try to write whatever it was that he was he shook, so that it doesn't crash on the floor and make such a humongous noise. But he is definitely what's the word?
Flustered?
The opposite of nonplussed. He's plussed.
Oh.
Whatever that is.
Fair. I think the noise definitely gets the attention of Juanita, and she kind of turns to see what the noise, what the commotion is about.
Yeah, he is not looking towards her at all in that direction, trying to keep I mean, his red hair is, flowing all over the place gorgeously, but he is keeping his back to this woman. And then as soon as he kind of maybe tries to like fix whatever he's done, and he's going to try to walk off, and away from her to see
Yeah,
Wants to get away at this moment. So yeah.
I imagine there's something that was on this platter that was, somewhat round or spherical or something, and like when it had hit the floor, it had rolled a little bit away from you, and you hadn't realized. So as you're kind of finishing putting this platter kind of back together or whatever, all of a sudden Juanita is right beside you and hands the last kind of piece that had rolled away to you. I feared that one must have gotten away.
And his head just snaps towards her. Keep in mind, he's like got this full face mask on, but he doesn't say anything. He is literally speechless. Probably one of the only times this party's ever known him to be like completely gobsmacked. And he is just like staring out of his mask into her mask, into the eyes, and just standing there, probably looking a little foolish, to be honest.
Is everything okay?
And
I'm sure that it's not a problem. It's all picked up. It's fine.
Right. Yeah. It's fine. Thank you. As his voice goes probably a little high octave, a little bit for first, and then drops down into the Chimeran voice. He takes the I don't know, the glass ball or whatever it was from her, and turns to put it back on the table.
Forgive me, it might be the Olvida that is getting to my head, but you seem familiar to me. Have we met before?
I don't think so. And Alvida's go. It's probably okay, but I wouldn't drink too much of it. I wouldn't drink any of it.
Okay. You must be a competing winemaker. She kind of laughs.
No, I just know my Elvidas, and this one will give you a nasty hangover in the morning. Not worth it at all.
I see. Well, here I was enjoying this. It's certainly different than the Olvida that we have where I am from.
And I think he's about to say something, and he catches himself like, "Oh yeah, I'm not supposed to know about that." And where are you from?
Oh, my husband had business here not that long ago, but we are from to the southwest of here.
Oh, and you have good Elvida there.
I do. As a matter of fact, my father has been making Olvida for some time. His family has a tradition of making their own.
Wait, you said it's the southeast, not the and in like it's an elven word for sunset, not the blah 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 Elvida.
Is that the name of?
Yeah, it'd be probably called the
Okay.
Sunset Elvida, but sunset in the elven word.
The elven for a word for it. Okay.
Yeah.
She kind of looks a little surprised, but also maybe a little bit of pride. She says, "Well, yes, you've heard of it.
It's the best Elvida I have ever tasted."
Well, she kind of smiles widely. I'm quite fond of it myself, actually. I may
It's
have
too bad you can't
drinking.
find it.
Go ahead.
Sorry. It's too bad you can't find it in the city. Should remedy
It is a
that.
shame. Are you involved in mercantile trade?
Oh,
You have the look of a
no,
fine gentleman. No?
No,
I see.
no, I don't do anything, actually. He just kind of tried to nonchalantly, I guess trying to pretend he's a little bit like shamed of the fact that he's so well off that he doesn't have to do anything for a living.
Well, perhaps there is someone that I can speak to about seeing if we could send a few casks to Aladalco to see if it would sell. Although, from what I hear, she kind of looks at the glass with the Borjido's Olvida. From what I hear, this is quite the sensation. It might be hard to compete.
It might be, but I think if people could taste your family's Olvida, things would change. I would suggest, if you want to get a hold of someone who could help you with this, you should talk to Madame, I'm going to butcher your name, Vera Messinero. While she's not like an alehouse or whatever, but she is a fine establishment, and many wealthy, well-to-do people partake in her business. And if she was to offer this, I'm sure word would spread.
It is certainly something that I will think about. And hopefully I run into this Madame that you have mentioned.
Yes, and I know for a fact she would not turn you away, as most of the city would probably not want to be on the bad side of, and he kind of like his head turns to like Greedo or whatever his name is, but she would be fine with it.
Oh, well, that's good to hear. And yes, I catch your meaning as far as the Padre Primero is concerned. My husband is quite taken with his political prowess as of late.
He is. How so?
Well, the Agnesi family is undoubtedly in control of the House of Coin here in Aladalco. And if the rumors that he has been repeating are to be believed, the bride, Lavinia Strozzi, should potentially be taking her deceased father-in-law's seat very soon. Their husband, Marici, will be much too busy with his new responsibilities as a Visconde. And if this is all to be believed, then his position would now likely grant him a seat among the House of Crowns. And if they are as dear to the Padre as they seem to be, well, that would align 3 of the 5 houses of the Consiglio, which would give them a majority in any legislation. It's quite a feat.
3 houses. Oh dear. Huh, and so your husband is trying to get in on that action? Or is he...
Oh, he's trying to bend the ear of someone. I should probably get back to him. It was nice to meet you. What did you say your name was?
It's Chimeran, and it was very nice to meet you, Anita. And he would turn to go.
There's a look of confusion that kind of crosses her face, as she never gave you her name. Last, but certainly not least, Locks. Where are you this evening whenever you happen to turn to look at the Padre Primero and notice a familiar looking face having approached to speak with him, as the Capitan of the Justicaros, Conde Rocatore is speaking with him.
Lox would have actually maybe just stepped onto like a balcony or like a just an exterior area where there's fewer people and maybe some fresh air, and he's kind of stepped away from the main crowd, and he sort of leans up against a pillar and drains his wine into a plant, sets the glass down, and just sort of like, and he'll kind of look across the way, and from wherever he is, he sees that the Padre and Rocatore have also kind of stepped away from the main crowd and are sort of speaking together. What is their like what do they look like as they're speaking? What is their expression on their faces?
Very businesslike. Your guess would be that Rocatore is probably reporting in to him. You know, just security, maybe anything new about any of the Justacaro business that might be going on, but he's keeping it brief, it seems like. He basically kind of does the thing where he puts his hand kind of on the Padre's shoulder and kind of leans in close enough to kind of like whisper into his ear, for the most, maybe like 30-45 seconds, and then has righted himself and kind of nods a couple of times before it looks like he's ready to leave.
Lox just sort of watches this exchange, and as he does, like the sounds of the party kind of become muffled and distorted. All peripheral vision sort of blurs as he just finds himself like just staring at Rocatore, and he feels his face getting flush, and by the time Rocatore kind of like nods and like turns to leave, Lox realizes that he's like put his hand on his sword and started pulling it out of its scabbard. And his hand, he notices because his hand is shaking and it's like rattling in the scabbard, and he just like slams it back in and will kind of like, he turns and just says under his breath, not the right time, not the right time. And will kind of move back toward the party.
As you do so, you kind of gather yourself back up and move back towards the party. You realize that the path that Rocatore has chosen to leave his discussion with the Padre takes him right past you. He bumps shoulders with you and turns to look at you with his good eye. Excuse me. You really should tell me who your tailor is. The motif that you are wearing, I like it. You can see he is similarly dressed in the colors of peacock and has multiple peacock feathers in his hat.
Lox finds his eyes like drifting up toward the peacock feathers, and instead of hearing anything that Rocatore says, he just hears just like a whining note, this like underwater type pressure in his ears, and he says, you know, the name escapes me at the moment. My apologies.
Oh, what a shame. You know, you remind me of someone. Someone I knew a long time ago. I can't quite put a finger on.
I just have one of those faces, I guess.
I suppose so. He taps his own eye patch, kind of looking at you. Birds of a feather. He smiles and turns and walks away.
A server comes by, hands Locks a new drink, and he takes it and immediately shatters in his grip. Shh, sorry. Yeah, I'll take another. Sorry for the mess. And he continues walking back toward the party.
Okay. Is there anything else that the five of you would like to say or do before the wedding wraps up for the night?
I think actually after that encounter, Chimeran is barely holding it together, and he is like shaken. So he actually, I think, leaves at this point, goes outside, leaves the party, goes outside, is waiting for them outside. He is visibly shaking and paler than normal. So yeah, I think at this juncture he is definitely not inside at the wedding anymore. He is outside trying to compose himself.
Does anyone else see Chimeran in this current state?
I actually think Locks might, and it's sort of like right after he's departed his encounter with the captain, and he kind of like wanders over tentatively and catches Chimeran's gaze. You all right?
No, I'm not. I just need some air. Excuse me a moment. And he kind of like tries to brush past you.
Hey, you want company? Or do you need to be alone?
And you can see he is looking at you like the whole, I think his eyes are kind of pleading that he wants your company, but he won't say it. He just like, no, I'll be fine.
I could use some air too. You mind if I come with you?
Oh, by all means, yeah. I mean, it's getting a little stuffy in here for sure.
Yeah. Come on, this way. And I'll sort of like lead Chimeran right back where I just came from, into a little like courtyard area. And I again just toss the wine into the bushes and set the glass down. Some party, huh?
Why are we here? And there's like a moment when he's just kind of looking down, and then he's like, oh, wait a second, I heard something. And he would tell Lux about the whole Lavinia taking the seat and the plans that like what Benita had told him, because that is actually quite disturbing. And so he wants to make sure at least somebody knows before he forgets everything.
Locke sort of listens and nods along. Well, I mean that's bad news. That's not good. I don't quite know what to make of it or what we can do about it at the moment, but that's something we got to deal with too.
Very soon, because if they get the three houses together, they control the city. I bet that's exactly what the Padre wants.
the time for us just waiting to react to things is coming to an end. I think we need to act soon.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. And you can see this conversation that we're having, talking about like this dire matter, is actually calming Chimeran down, and he's becoming more back to himself. And we need to tell the others, and we probably need to tell the Contessa.
Yeah. The Contessa will probably have a little more insight into this than we do. I've kept tabs on everyone pretty well. It shouldn't be hard to gather everybody up if we need to.
Do you think there's any more reason to stay at this place?
Part of me thinks we should stick around in case something happens, and part of me thinks we should leave in case something happens.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we got to get out of here before Guillaume gets framed for another murder or something, right?
Yeah, definitely. That I wouldn't put past Lavinia, to be honest. So we should maybe, I think we've got what we came here for. I don't know if there's anything else. And if there is, I don't know if I really want to be around for it.
Lox looks out across the party and catches sight of the captain's like red hat with the peacock feathers as he's like it disappears into the crowd. And Locke says, "Yeah, no, nothing else today for sure. Let's gather everybody up."
All right. And with that, I think they head back in to find the rest of the peoples.
All right. So without much else really to speak of, you manage to wrap up your presence here at the wedding and make your excuses or exits or both, and head off into the buzzing, thrumming city of Aladalgo as the party continues outside. I think that's where we're going to take our break. So we're going to take a 10-minute bio, refill your drinks, go to the bathroom, kiss your spouses, etc., etc. Smoke them if you got them. Yeah, this is tremendous, as always. Thank all of you very, very much for playing along this evening so far. And for those of you who are tuning in, sit tight. We will be right back. and welcome back from the break. We are here with the second half of tonight's episode, session 16, Shadows of Mardival. So, we have just been in attendance of the wedding of the decade, according to many people, between a recently ascended Visconde from a prominent silver mining family, and a woman who seems to have kind of captivated Aladalgan gossip, as nobody really knows where she came from, but she seems to have kind of won over many of the upper echelon of society here in Aladalgo. All of this, to some degree or another, seems to have been arranged or orchestrated by the Padre Primero, the man who undoubtedly wields the power of religion here in the canals of El Hidalgo. He is also the official head of the Justicaros, who are the militant branch of his church. Each of you, throughout the evening at some point, had a run-in with someone that you've met before, or at least regarding someone that you have met before. Some of them went better than others, but I think it's fair to say that all of you, when you're leaving, are not necessarily in the festive mood of the city that kind of surrounds you. But as we rejoin the five of you, leaving together, leaving this wedding, perhaps in a gondola that you have hired to row you back to wherever it is that you're staying for the moment. If it's, are you headed back to the Condessa's villa, or are you heading back to the Castillo?
I mean, Vera would offer to put everyone up, if need be. Might have to double up in rooms though, considering that it's the festival and she's pretty booked.
I think just based on the information that Chimeran overheard, it might be smart to go straight to the Contessa's place and speak to her about that, because that seems like something that's a little urgent.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. Yeah.
Okay. So as we rejoin the five of you, kind of heading via gondola back to the Condessa's villa, is there conversation that is taking place? And if not, what is the general atmosphere or mood that we find?
Vera's she's not as disturbed by the conversations she had during the night. They weren't as intense as they were for, say, Guillaume or Aaron or Locks or Sylvie, for the matter. Actually, Vera's been having a pretty decent night for being at a vampire death wedding where they're feeding everyone their blood. But she would kind of reading the room, she would look over and so I'm not really understanding. The man actually wanted to return your clothing, Sylvie? Like he wanted to just give them back. And he wants his money back?
It seems like it. He was just one of those rich types. I've run across them before, but I don't know. He had just no regard for his wife, certainly, but I don't know. He talked to the everyone the same way. So just one of those. 1 second. Sorry, my cat is trying to climb on something. Okay, sorry.
No, you're fine.
Guillaume is making no attempt to hide the like anger and bitterness in his voice, but it seems completely disconnected from what he's saying at the moment. Saying, well, maybe he knew his wife wasn't going to be around much longer and didn't want to waste the money on a dress that wouldn't get used. I mean, rich people are fine having a wardrobe full of dresses they'll never wear, for their wives will never wear. Men like him. But I don't know. Maybe he knows something.
Maybe he left pretty quick. He talked to me. Such a strange conversation to have at a party, no? Usually it's very in very bad taste to talk business, with a dressmaker.
It
Well-
seems more to me that he's just mad his wife is pregnant under unfortunate timing
Well,
Maybe he's
and is
not the
seeking to
father.
punish her.
either he's not the father, like Guillaume said, or he should just face the fact that he had part of it too.
Oh, I would guess he probably is not the father, which is what's adding to the scandal.
It does seem odd, though, to come to a wedding just to complain about a dress.
Some people are very strange, but he talked to me. He talked to, was it the Padre he talked to, right? Yeah, he talked to me, he talked to the Padre, and then he left.
Can Marin do a delayed insight check on this information that Sylvie has told us about how he acted, what he said, and then who he saw afterwards, the Padre, and then left, that maybe there was an ulterior motive for him to come and talk to Sylvie about this dress and his wife?
Yes, I'm okay with you making a roll, but because you didn't witness any of this firsthand, I think it would be a disadvantage.
Disadvantage. Perfect. Okay, well, the low roll is 14 plus 8. 22.
Okay.
I rolled a 14 and an 18, so I'll take that.
Yeah. This sounds very strange to you. Like from your understanding, like they're the De la Apozuelo estate is not on the collection of islands that form Aladalgo. It's outside of the city. So to have made a journey into the city to make this kind of a stop seems extreme. It could be that maybe the business with the Padre is actually what brought him. And maybe, Sylvie was just a secondary stop, if you will. But it's definitely, again, like his wife's name is on this list that you guys have. It's definitely, it's the kind of thing that it's like a splinter in your mind. You just can't quite let go of it as just a hand wave of it's probably innocuous.
Well, he did say that she would be stopping by, so perhaps I could have the opportunity to talk to her.
Yeah, I would talk to her for sure. I'm a little worried that maybe we know she's a target. So what if he's in on it and he wants the money back because she's not going to wear the dress because he knows she ain't going to be around. Or the opposite is he knows she's a target and he's asking for help when you see her next.
That is a very interesting idea. It does seem a little suspicious, no? If all of a sudden she disappears or dies or whatever, and now I know that he wanted to return the dress. It seems a little bad. If I was going to kill someone, I would not try and return their clothes before I tried to kill them or before I knew that they were going to die.
Exactly. But he made a point of coming to you and telling you that she won't be able to wear the dress. I mean, for obvious reasons. But the fact is, eventually she'll have the babe and she'd be able to wear the dress. So the fact that he wants to return it, it just raises all these red flags to me.
Yeah. Yes, it is strange.
And his conversation with the Padre afterwards, it did not look civil.
Not civil, but just well, I guess he talked to him the same way he spoke to me, which is very strange.
Well, I for one hope his wife comes to see you. Because without her coming back into the city, I don't know how we can even remotely try to protect her.
I agree. I will have a good conversation with her.
Oh.
And Vera,
Mhm.
a lady might come by with a couple of casks of Olvida. She may drop my name. Can you please help her out?
I'm not going to sell Olvida at my establishment.
Not even for me. It's the best Olvida you'll have ever tasted. And
So it's not
if-
from here.
No, oh gosh, no.
Okay,
no.
so it's not okay. That was okay.
Because-
or missed that yet.
Oh, sorry. I'm just leaps and bounds ahead.
Mhm.
Because I want to put, if we can get it going, if we can
Mhm.
sell it here, if we can spread the word, it could even maybe take the Padre out of business. Hopefully, eventually, someday, hurt him.
Right. And when we combine that with, then we'll be, good to go, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely, sure. And that reminds me, since we're now talking business, Guillaume, you and I have a lunch date with a certain widow and her daughter later this week.
This isn't the time to try to sell me on the idea of marrying the
No.
child.
The widow wants another, she wants to see my associate again.
Oh,
My employee, my staff member, who was so kind as to visit her home with me the last time. And she took quite the liking to. And since she, a woman of her caliber, cannot visit my establishment, I told her a house call would be appropriate.
okay.
You've done this to yourself, darling.
No, I just thought nothing would be able to lift my mood. And I guess I was wrong. This is helping. This is helping. Thank you. Because you can only, make so much of it an illusion. The rest of it's got to be real. So I'd be pleased to oblige.
How much of a free sample did you give her in that pantry while I was talking to her daughter?
What was I supposed to do? Let's say that I did that much and no more.
Well, she would like lunch with us at some point this week.
Okay. Actually, I think maybe depending on how things go later this week, maybe she would also stop pestering Guillaume to marry her daughter. He may not be a up and coming Visconde after all. Oh, forgot to tell you folks, my father's not really my father, and fuck him anyway. So we don't have to worry about him anymore. He'll take care of himself.
Oh, right. Okay. That's great. Lunch later this week. We'll get you
Yes,
some
lunch.
relaxation, and we'll worry about your lineage and inheritance later.
God, I may have really well and truly screwed up. Oh, I told him. Oh God. Is he going to disinherit me?
I mean,
Oh,
probably.
and he'll just sit
Well,
back
I mean,
and just
no,
like
Guillaume,
thousand
wait.
yard stare.
Actually, that might not happen, Guillaume. You might still be okay, because the reality of it is if he does disinherit you, that becomes public knowledge, and the level of embarrassment that this lie was carried on by his wife the entire time.
Right? The scandal would
The
ruin him.
scandal alone.
And if your father is
Okay.
anything like you say he is now, he would never let that tarnish his name. You're
Yeah.
fine.
You're fine.
Yeah, I'll have my money. I'll have my money again.
Absolutely, you will. And if not, I mean, I always can use extra staff.
I feel like you're mocking me, but I'm still appreciative.
I mean, let's consider the widow hands-on interview you process, a little bit of an analysis.
So just hands this time.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to tell you what to do, Guillaume. You are
Okay, I thought you were being specific. Never mind. Got it.
No,
I got it. I'm on board.
let's consider it a working interview. Well, we'll just see.
All right. After probably one of the more interesting gondola rides this week, you arrive at the steps that lead up to the via of the Condessa, a place you have visited at least 2 or 3 times at this point. You approach the large front doors where you knock, and not surprisingly, one of the attendants, the constructs, whatever it is they might be, that serve the Condessa, answers the door, glaring down at you with their painted skulls that serve as their face. Again, they're dark kind of suits that mimic strands of muscle fiber. Kind of still, even though you might have expected it, is intimidating as it stares down at you with this blank expression on its face and its hollow eye sockets. As you introduce yourselves once again, it stands momentarily, again not saying anything, before it steps back out of the way, bends 90 degrees at the waist, and allows you to pass before shutting the door behind you.
I don't think I will ever get used to that.
I was just thinking that myself, that the creepiness, I don't think will ever go away.
Oh, really? I want 2 for my front door.
I mean,
I'm
honestly,
joking. No, they're horrible. Very dependable.
Did you say that like as you walk past another one?
I've I don't know.
He'll give
I
that like
kind of-
sheepish grin and like nod, like, good work.
I kind of, out of all the things that we've learned about and been discovering, and I mean, really, they're kind of the least of our concerns. The
I
fact
mean,
that the
so are spiders, but I don't think I like them either.
I mean, all I'm saying is that sometimes some of the most unusual and unexpected things are right in front of your nose and you never see it.
Chimaran just kind of nods to that, doesn't really reply back, just
You eventually find the Condessa Katrina in one of her, what looks like maybe it was a ballroom at some point. The curtains are all drawn open, and she is standing at a set of them that are now open, and you can hear the sounds of music and revelry and laughter, music, and everything just kind of drifting up to this window as she kind of watches this celebration of Mardival from afar. Oh, please come in. You all look troubled.
It has been a eventful evening.
I assume you attended the wedding?
We did.
And I don't think we have much time before the Padre's plans become unstoppable. Whatever those plans are.
What do
And
you
I think
mean
at that
by
point he just,
unstoppable?
yeah, I think at that point Chimera will launch into the whole Lavinia is going to take this seat and the husband is later for this seat and all that city politics going on behind the scenes. And I think the wine, we mentioned the wine, yeah. Because we don't know what that's about yet.
None of us drank it, but we smelled copper on it.
I have had it before, but I didn't drink any tonight.
Very
Oh,
interesting.
we would also tell her about like the rituals and the people
yeah.
burning and stuff like that. All of that stuff. And how the people with the alcoholic rings didn't burn. Forgot about those things.
Yeah, she seems perplexed, disturbed, maybe a little lost as to how all of this could potentially be connected. She kind of shakes her head. Lugarico is always a meddling person. Always scheming, always preparing. But I cannot see his angle in these, other than his grasp for power, which is not surprising. How do the pieces fit together?
He wants control of the city, and he is gaining it rapidly. I mean, he is the cardinal. He is the leader of the Justicaros. He's soon to have 3 houses aligned and under his control. He's doing something to the populace that's in the city. But why? Why is the question?
Precisely.
I can't believe the end game is just having control of the city. But what does he need the city for?
I do not know.
must have something to do with the pregnant women.
Yeah,
Have you-
that is.
Have you
Sorry.
checked on any of these women? Have you seen if they have any more answers for you? Or if they know anything?
I think we need to try to speak to the one-armed elf. I think her husband was acting incredibly suspiciously at the party, and I think their place is far enough out of town that we might be able to do it without rousing too much suspicion. And, if she doesn't have answers for us, maybe he will.
I would have an excuse to go.
Right. The dress.
Hmm.
Instead of making her come in to you, you go to see him. Hmm. Smart thinking. And of course, you need your bodyguards.
Of course.
Well, and I wanted to go to deliver the baby blanket to her anyways, so that's another reason to head out with.
And Guillaume,
And Sylvie never goes anywhere without her faithful rat familiar.
oh, yes, Rod. Right. That's how we can get you in there. Good.
So you will go to this estate and speak with this woman? Very well. She kind of looks back out into the city again. She just kind of shakes her head slowly. There's something ill at work out here. It feels wrong. Something is amiss.
In all your years, have you ever heard of the rituals doing what they did tonight?
Never. And blessings from the gods and goddesses. To interfere with that is... someone would have to be very powerful. Lugarico is powerful, but that seems beyond his reach.
So, what if it's not messing with the blessings themselves? What if, because they've been, what we're assuming, because of the smell of it, the idea that these vampires are passing their blood into the wine and people of the city have been drinking it for months? What if it's not messing with the blessings, but it's just changing the entire population?
So like the blessings actually worked, but
The blessings did what they're supposed to do. They blessed.
It's a sun blessing.
Right.
It was the sun. They were blessed by the sun, and we
Do
were all hypersensitive.
Did you see who
That's
didn't
gotta
attend
be it.
those blessings?
And those who were there but weren't affected. It was the teetotalers.
the ones who don't drink
It
anymore.
was the drips. It was the sad people.
And Lavinia and the Padre just aren't at the blessings because they're during the day. And
Oh, of course they couldn't be there.
right, but
And the rain? Why would the blessing of Loros be met with ill effect?
Wait, I thought it was the people that were wearing the basically like.
there was two blessings. There was the
Oh,
sun
there's-
blessing,
Okay.
and then in the second one with the rain is where the people with the alcoholism rings were not
Oh, okay.
burned, if I remember correctly.
In both, yeah.
Holy
the
water.
people who had not been drinking.
In both, I'm sorry. It was
Holy
holy
water,
water and
okay.
sun.
Holy
That's-
water, yes.
Mhm.
They bless the rains. Holy water.
Down
It's
in
so hard
Africa?
not to say down in
Dalgo.
Africa. Just saying, you have no idea. Oh my god. It was like I had to fight the compulsion. I really, really did.
We all failed though, so the
All right,
joke's
we've got to take some time to do the
Oh, no.
things we never have, like thinking.
The best the rains till
Ollie Doggo.
Yes.
God damn it. Okay, so everyone in the city is slightly a vampire.
Everyone
Like a
who's
little
drank
bit.
the wine.
Everyone who's had the wine.
You've done more research than the rest of us on them. Is this something that can happen? Did you read anything about this?
There was nothing in the ancient tomes that I consulted about vampires feeding a city their blood through a winery.
Smart ass little shit. That is not what I meant. She looks over at the Contessa.
She shrugs.
What I mean to say is,
do vampires do this? Do they feed their blood to people? And does this happen? Is this normal? Is this a thing?
There have been stories of vampires using their own blood to not fully turn someone, but to turn them into a thrall. Easy to coerce, easy to manipulate.
Jeremy, this is out of character. The way the city works, do the people actually have to vote for things? Is this kind of I know that there are the 5 houses that kind of run everything, and there's the Padre who runs the religion and blah, blah, blah. But do the people actually have to vote who gets to lead, which house? Is there something that politically would be to their advantage to have a large chunk of the city under their thrall?
So there is not any form of democracy that governs here. No, there's no voting by the populace or anything of that. It's literally just the people in the city who already have the most money and the most highest nobility. They tend to find their way into seats of influence. And as for what purpose for having a docile populace, I mean, what government in the world wouldn't wouldn't trade for that?
And there's one more question. Hypothetically speaking, if one were to drink of their blood, and does it become addictive?
It has a tendency for it, yes. The more you drink, certainly.
Okay.
Vampires, they use their appeal, their charm. It is supernatural in nature. And they certainly impart that through their blood into the thralls.
So you keep your city drunk and mystically addicted to the alcohol that carries the blood. And if things like people getting murdered with weird silver darts in the middle of a dress shop happen, no one really cares. A bunch of pregnant women go missing every year. No one really cares.
Is it reversible? Or is it once it's done, it's done? If the people stopped drinking the wine, for example, would they eventually change back to normal, to not have this I guess this thrallness on them?
It's if if there have not been sightings and reportings of people changing, then it is very possible that it is not too late to reverse these effects. But it would likely not be pleasant. Much the same as anyone who has become addicted to a substance. When that substance is taken away, there is a period of time that is very torturous.
Let's all assume we've all probably had at least some of this. I really don't want to end up finally throwing down with Lavinia and the Padre and finding out that they're able to, with a snap of their fingers, turn us into thralls. Is there anything we can do to purge it from ourselves or to protect ourselves against becoming enthralled? Anything you know?
Well, ceasing to drink it would certainly help. I suppose that you could find a priest who could try to remove curse or some other form of divine magics. May or may not work. It might be painful, might be excruciating. Well, it certainly sounds like we have stumbled across this plot just in time. Did
So,
the Padre speak to any of you? Did he look at any of you?
I think we all rather carefully avoided his gaze as best we could. Technically, I was a rat in a bag. I didn't have a lot to do with the avoiding. I was kind of just hiding inside. But I digress.
Can I make a roll, Jeremy, to see if I can remember if he was like looking at us at all? Or
Sure.
just a
Yeah, you can make a perception roll.
okay. I don't know squat. I was an 8. I
Okay.
don't know what's going on.
Yeah, there was a lot that happened that evening. There was a lot of people there. It's kind of hard to recall exactly. I mean, certainly he looked your direction at least, once or twice, but knowing whether or not he was actually looking at you is another story. The Condessa, you can tell, has all of this kind of whirling around in her skull. She seems, fairly perturbed. Well, whatever it is, I think you are all right. We should do it quickly. Whatever we are going to do, it needs to be now. He already has these things in motion, and he now also possesses my phylactery. He's planning on doing something soon.
okay, so the things we need to do. We need to talk to Ascanda and her husband, find out what's going on and if they know anything. Get your phylactery back and blow up a winery.
Blow up a winery.
Well, yes, we got to stop the flow.
Ah, yes. So, perhaps you should pay a visit to the Borjido vineyards.
We need to burn them down. We need to burn his everything. Burn the winery so it can't produce again. for quite some time. We need to completely destroy whatever stock he's got already barreled, and hopefully, all the equipment made to do such things too.
I mean, we should burn the fields too.
Exactly. Yeah.
Maybe salt the earth afterwards. Just an idea.
No, he has near his winery, outside to the north of Manchalona. He supposedly has a castle in the mountains. He never took me there, but he spoke of it frequently.
So, you think your phylactery will be there?
It is possible.
Is that okay? So,
if he is meaning to try to hide it or protect it, which would be wise, it is possible that it is there.
so that would be a castle, has rats. That would be a good reconnaissance mission.
We could at least ask around, try to find out exactly where it is and what's going on there. It's a good idea. There's always rats.
Yeah,
And
so all
then-
of you would know that Manchalona is a city kind of at the base of the mountains in the west. It's kind of a southwest from here, but it's probably a week travel from here, so it would be a fair distance. Locks, at the very least, would know the highway that connects Manchalona and Aladalgo rather well, or at least some stretches of it.
So I think we have to do the immediate things first, and then before we set out to the castle, which is a fair distance away. Like, we do the first pressing things, and then we see where that takes us.
So we are going to talk to the
Is it
woman.
Visconda? Yeah.
Yes, the Visconda. And then we are going to burn the vineyard to the ground.
Burn it all to the ground.
Well, thankfully, we have plenty of that alchemist's fire. And honestly, after my lovely conversation with the widow's daughter this evening, she would probably give us more if we asked for it. She seemed very keen on the bad boy image too, Guillaume, just in case you were, I'm just saying in passing. No real reason.
I mean, if you're trying to whore me out to her mother, it feels a little inappropriate to pursue her, if I'm being honest.
That's true. I'm just saying, keep your
Sorry,
options
these are
open.
side issues, Condessa. I do apologize.
Yes.
Yeah, she's watching, but she's been in Aladalgo a long time. None of this is shocking or strange to her. Or at least, not this part of the conversation.
So, speak to the Visconda about the vineyard. And what else? Did we have anything else on our to-do list?
In Lavinia, if we get the chance, I suppose. We should put it on the list. Then
It definitely should be on the list.
if it comes up, we'll cross it off.
Maybe with a question mark.
A shower at some point would be nice if we have time for that.
The Condessa says, as always, you are welcome to stay here. If you wish a bath, I can have one drawn up for you.
I am not keen on leaving the Castillo unattended again. The last time I did that, a vampire ended up in my basement, walled in, and I was getting framed for a potential murder. especially considering that it's the festival now. So
Yes, I would imagine it
the
is
staff is
very
Mhm.
busy.
yes.
I think we should try to stick together. I think we'll, at least I'll go as well to the Castillo.
Same.
Condessa, I don't mean any offense by this. I know you're perfectly capable, but I do worry about you here, not exactly alone. Kind of glance back at the skeletal guards, but not as protected as you could be without your phylactery. If anything goes wrong and you need to leave, you can meet us again. Do you know some of the older parts of town? There's a cobbler shop on and Boulevard.
Yes, I know the place.
If anything happens here, if anyone comes here and you need to escape, meet us there. Wait for us there, and we'll find you.
Very well. I must say it is nice to have people who seem to have my best interests at heart. Once again, I have forgotten what that was like.
You've been a bit of a beacon of daylight in a increasingly foggy night. So we do appreciate all you've done for us.
Strange to think, she says as she kind of like sticks her skeletal hand kind of out in front of her. Just rings on most of her fingers. She kind of looks at her skeletal hand, turning it over, kind of flexing the finger bones. To think that someone could find comfort in this visage. But you should go. If this is the moment that I get to stop Lugarico, in whatever way I can help, I am ready to do so. He will not win this time. If he does, I will die trying to stop him.
We'll all die. Wait, no, I mean, if not, hopefully not. But you understood.
All right.
Your wordsmithing is astounding, Guillaume.
I thought that thing about the increasingly foggy night was pretty good. It gets away from me from time to time.
Very poetic.
I'm better when I can write things down ahead of time.
All right. So the five of you are departing for the evening. It sounds like for the Castillo.
Yeah, if we're all going, yes. But Vera's definitely going back. Yeah.
It sounded like that was at
Yeah.
least the case for Vera, Lox, and Guillaume.
I think Sylvie, I think Sylvie needs to go to her shop. Just thinking, it is the week, so she's probably very busy. So she'll go there. At least if we're going to be traveling for a little bit. So she'll probably spend the evening at her shop.
Yeah, I imagine you probably have, like a small apartment either above or, in the back of it or something like that. It might not be like your full-on residence, but it's a place you can at least, crash if you need to.
Yeah, and I think with the others going to the Castillo and Sylvie off going to her shop alone, Chimera's not quite comfortable with that, so I think he will join Sylvie, just so that she's not alone. She's got at least somebody there to help protect her. Among other reasons.
Perfect. Okay. So I think we see, crowds of people shoved into the narrow streets that do exist here in Aladalgo. Again, most of the method of moving around the city is by gondolas and the canals, but there are streets and footbridges and things here and there. No carriages or horses really to be spoken of, but as of now, there's like standing room only in any of the streets that you happen to see in the city. People are just crammed in here, and everywhere you look, people are having a great time, indulging, some of them too much so, but having a good time all the same, at least for now. We see, though the night is late and the party is still going on outside, I think we see, like, through the window of Sylvie's shop, Sylvie busy, kind of working on something, maybe many of somethings all at once. While Sylvie is doing that, what is Chimeran doing?
I imagine actually Chimeran is probably being used as a workhorse and mannequin and whatever various things that Sylvie needs at the moment. So I think at one point as we look in, Chimera is just standing there, his arms are outstretched, he's in this weird pose, and he's completely covered in this, like, in fabric, like you can't even see his face, it's like everywhere, and Sylvie's just bustling around doing stuff, and he's just like, maybe he moves a little bit and Sylvie will yell at him, "Don't move," and all that stuff, and he's just like,
Perfect. We cut back across town through over the heads of these throngs of people, to the other side of town where the Castillo is. And I think, like, as we're making this journey, we see, like, illusion magic and firework like spells that are going off over the skies of the city. And at one point during our journey across Hidalgo, we venture into kind of a less trodden section, a dark section that isn't filled with revelers and isn't particularly well lit. And we see a shadow cast along one of the walls that at first seems just to be cast innocuously from some object. But as we pass by, it moves in an unnatural way along the surface of the wall, around onto the ground, where it continues to stretch and skew out of shape, almost as if it's traveling across the ground. And then immediately we are taken away to another group of partiers celebrating Mardival, before we reach finally the Castillo, where we see Guillaume and Lox and Vera disembarking from yet another gondola, and heading up the steps to the front of the Castillo. You can hear the din of excitement and noise, even through the closed front door. As you enter, you are greeted, and very quickly realize that it's booming. Business is good right now, which is to be expected during this week. So, are you headed straight for your rooms? What's the plan?
Vera would kind of walk in and look around, and seeing most of the space being taken up by paying customers and stuff, she would probably kind of lead Guillaume and Locks over to the bar area and sit them down. Sebastian, get them whatever they want to drink. I need to go check on things. And she would wander off for a few minutes, and she would kind of do a quick round of the building, specifically with the intention of going to check on the woman that is in her care, or that is one of these pregnant women that is on the list, and checking in on her, looking for her, whether she be upstairs, or I know we had a conversation about her taking over more of the kind of almost hostessing duties of assigning rooms and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
so
some of the administrative stuff.
Yeah, she would track her down, and she would want to find her and make sure that she's okay. And then, kind of take a glance at what's going on, solve any little problems or complaints that may have been waiting for her to get home.
Yeah, I think when you kind of drop Guillaume and Locks off at the bar, Gabriella is kind of not serving, but she's behind the bar, and she seems a little distraught. And when she spots you, she actually brings up Annabelle. She says, Vera, thank goodness you're back. Please, I don't know what it is that she's doing, but Annabelle, she was supposed to be here helping, and she has completely blown off all of her duties for the evening, apparently.
Is she in her quarters upstairs?
Yes. The last time I saw her, that's where she was supposed to be going. She was going to go change clothes, and then she never came back down.
Okay. What, before I go deal with that, what do you just need help, or is there a problem? Are you just...
Sebastian is drunk. Again.
Why is he drunk?
Ask him. I don't know.
If I had not known you both since you were small children. Okay. I will deal with Sebastian after I go check on her.
I can either do what I need to do here behind the bar or on my back upstairs. You decide.
Locks. Locks, do either of you know how to bartend?
Yes. Alvaro Cortino was a bartender for many years.
I think between the two of us, we can make it work. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Great. So, I'm going to go check on her, and I'll scream if I need anything. If you guys could deal with this, Gabriella, you can go deal with the other things you need to deal with.
Thank you.
I know you'd rather be doing that anyways, because honestly, you hate doing this.
The other is far easier.
That's true.
She hands, what she's been working with, to Locks and Guillaume, and kind of storms off as quickly as she can.
As she storms off, Vera is going to lean into the two of them, and she's going to say, make sure that none of the barrels of wine that I have in the basement are being tapped. We should not be serving that here, since we've just learned what we've learned about it. So,
I'll deal with it.
Okay. Thank you. Yo, your overacting is second to none, dear. She's gonna
Who is
kind
this
of
Guillaume you speak of? I am Alvorio.
sorry,
Haven't
Alvario.
seen-
Your overacting
I
is second
forget
to
my
none, dear.
last name.
And she's going to head upstairs and go check on Annabelle.
Okay. You head upstairs to her room. She's kind of been, given a little bit of a private, chamber kind of thing while she's with child and all that kind of stuff, which is probably pretty standard practice. You rap on the door, and there is no response.
Fuck. I'm not even gonna wait and do a second knock. I'm just gonna open the door because she's not working in that manner anyways. So Vera just opens the door and steps in. Annabelle, where are you?
You go to open the door, but the door is locked.
Okay. Being her place, I'm assuming
You very
what do
likely
I
have a key.
Yeah, I
I
was
just
gonna
don't know if
say
it
I
would be
probably
something you
have
have
a
with you,
set of
or-
keys. No, I'd probably have to wander back downstairs, and I'm not out at the vampire wedding ball carrying around my keys
Your
to my
big old
place. So
keychain.
yeah, exactly.
Your
So,
whole keys.
I will run downstairs and grab my skeleton key or whatever it is that I have that opens up her door.
Perfect. Okay. Somewhat peeved that you've had to, now make this journey up and down the stairs twice. You come back to the door, get the lock or get the key in, open it, and the room is in shambles. Furniture is overturned. It looks like one of the curtains has been pulled down off of the window. The covers on the bed are thrown in all kinds of disarray. There's papers scattered everywhere. An inkwell has been tipped over and is dripping, onto the rug beneath the writing desk. There's no sign of her.
Is the window open?
It is.
I am going to toss a sending spell down to Guillaume. And Severa kind of like does her thing where she pulls out the she takes the copper wire that she always kind of keeps wrapped around, and she pulls that out, and she kind of takes it and she pulls it out and she lays it out in front of her. And as she starts to, she's kind of almost like strumming it as if it's a single string of a guitar, and these little kind of like almost iridescent like music notes kind of start vibrating off of this wire and going out into the air. And she's going to send a message down to Guillaume, and she's going to say, Guillaume, I need you up here right now. She is gone. The window is open. The room is tore up, and I need someone else to help me up here. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, you just get a response of on my way. I'll leave Locks to tend the bar. And Guillaume will just turn to Locks and say, like, I think we're ale only for the next few minutes. Just keep doing what you're doing. And he's gonna rush upstairs.
Once he gets up there, she'll let him in the room and then shut the door behind them. She's not here. Look at this place.
Oh, wow. Wow, this is a mess.
Well, not only is it a mess, but it's a recent mess. Look at the inkwell. It's still dripping.
Right. Okay. Do you know how long ago her shift was supposed to start? He'll go to the window and start just kind of peering out, see if there's any sign, anything on the ground or around.
Gabriella said that she was supposed to run upstairs and change and come down and deal with the bar, and she never returned.
Okay, if this was minutes ago, we might have a chance. If this was hours ago, we have no way of following her, but
Guillaume, when you step to the window and look out, the first thing you notice is, again, just the sea of people, just everywhere, and trying to pinpoint anything visually is going to be impossible. There's just so much going on. But the thing that it takes you a moment to notice, but as you step to the window, there's like a cold draft coming into the window, which is very odd. You were just outside. It's a springtime. Even though it's night, it's not really all that cold currently. But it's definitely cold standing at this window. Probably a good 10 degrees colder than the rest of the room.
would I have any idea what kind of thing could cause that? Like I have very faint thoughts, but just
In
wondering.
your research that you have done, Fahrenheit, you realize that there are some forms of vampire thralls, vampire spawn, that people have reported an aura of chill whenever they're in the vicinity of it.
Guillaume will kind of stand still in that spot for a moment and just whisper very quietly, sending a message to Vera. There's a chance it's still here. It's cold, and I've never heard of them leaving cold spots behind. Be very careful. And I just want to start looking, just glancing around me to see if there's is there any place that a person could hide, or I'll kind of glance back out the window and look up. Just do a quick check above me.
Yeah, you kind of are looking around, somewhat suspiciously, trying to find anything that might give something away. And you notice a shadow kind of cast against the awning over the window. And at first, it doesn't seem strange or out of ordinary. It just looks like a normal shadow. But you start to realize that with the light sources from below, that this shadow is in a strange position. And then just as you kind of realize that, and you may even have that moment of kind of, huh? Or furrowing of your brow, the shadow moves and melts away up and over the edge of the awning.
Does the air get less cold?
It immediately begins to warm. Yes.
He'll dip his head back in. There's a shadow. It just climbed over the top of the building. I think that must have been it. How high up are we? This is just a second floor.
How tall is the Castillo, Vera?
I mean, I would think that it's probably at least 3 floors. I mean, it's probably 3 floors, which is, for this time period.
Sure.
It's a big building.
And I imagine more than likely most of the rooms set aside for business are probably maybe on the second and first floor. And then the third floor is more kind of reserved for where, all of the employees kind of live if they do stay here on the premises. Yeah, probably also where your bedroom is.
Mm-hmm.
So this would be on the second floor. No, I'm sorry. It would be on the third floor.
Yeah. She's just gonna look at Guillaume like, what like,
The roof. Can we get to the roof?
I'm sure there's roof access through here somewhere, isn't there, Jeremy? I would think. I don't know. That's your call. It's your, um,
Yeah, there's probably not like a direct access. It's probably more
Uh-huh.
along the lines of, I'm thinking like Assassin's Creed 2, where I don't
Okay.
remember very many like, well, they do have like terraces and stuff. So some of them have like a flat space on the roof where people can go for fresh air and things. So maybe you tell me.
I mean, I would think that, being the type of city it is and everything, that there's probably, I guess, little balconies and stuff that you can walk out on and climb up on to the rooftop from here. So, yeah. I mean, she's just gonna kind of point to, she'll grab him and she'll take him. Maybe there's like, you know what? I would say there's probably a balcony at like the end of the hall, which is like an outside sitting area for the staff to kind of hang out on and stuff, as opposed to one off of everybody's room, which is a little weird.
Sure.
So she would like take him down the hall real quick and get him over to that terrace. She'd actually point him to the windows, and she would, Vera herself would probably run downstairs and motion to Locks to get Locks to come upstairs with us. And in regards to who's tending the bar,
If
she'll put a
if
couple
you-
bottles out on the counter.
like if you motion for Locks to come up, Locks will like identify the drunkest person around the bar and be
Uh-huh.
like, "Hey, you want to serve beer? Come on back here." And he'll just like get the guy like behind the bar and get them
Of
just
course.
like throwing drinks.
Yeah, exactly.
And he will
Perfect.
make upstairs with all haste.
Yeah. She'll grab Locks and take him up to the terrace, and she'll kind of explain to him what's going on. And then get him over to the terrace and, okay, here's the roof, Guillaume.
Yeah, Guillaume has been like going like window to window as he can, trying to like see if there's any sign of this thing where it's moving based on the direction it was going. But I'm guessing that it's probably, it seemed like it was kind of able to meld away, but he's still kind of trying to like run after where he thought it might be going, just to see if he can follow it or track it at all.
Okay. Roll me another perception check. Again, this is based on vision, so unfortunately your smell won't. No. Uh-oh. Ooh, a 2. Okay. So you're running along. This thing is moving fast, very, very fast, and doesn't behave in a normal way. It's not like it's linear movement. You'll catch a glimpse of it here, and then next you catch a glimpse of it there, almost as if it's jumping from pool of darkness to pool of darkness, and doesn't seem to even obey like gravity or physics. Sometimes it's on the wall, sometimes it might be on the ceiling, and very quickly you lose track of it, and you find yourself like peering into every single shadow that you're passing, maybe for a moment too long, as you kind of hesitate to, did I really see that shadow move or did it not? Until you stop finding any sign of it whatsoever. By the time that you reach the balcony where Vera has directed you, you think over the din of the crowd, you think you hear kind of the fading scream of a woman that sounds like distress. And the only thing that you find on the balcony is a shawl that seems to have been caught on the back of one of the chairs that sits on this balcony, which Vera, whenever she catches up, will be able to identify as a shawl that she has seen Annabelle wear frequently.
Okay. Where is she then? Which way?
It was. I've never seen anything move like that. It didn't make sense, Vera. It was a shadow. It was over on the wall. It was being. It
Guillaume,
was too big
Guillaume.
to be cast.
Yes,
but
Guillaume. And vampires are real. And we were talking to a skeleton earlier. That's great. Shadows are moving weird. Which direction did you hear it from?
he'll like kind of vaguely point, like that. You don't understand. You didn't see how it was moving. I can't know. It could have gone anywhere. It could have gone straight up for all I could tell.
Okay. Boost me up. And she's gonna look up at the roof.
It moved. I heard it that way, and he'll point like off the balcony. Like it sounded like it was moving that direction. And he'll kind of just try to triangulate based on where we are in the city. Is there like any point of interest that it might have been heading towards, or is it just like it just went off into the dark night?
I mean, it's kind of off into the dark night. If you wanted to try to possibly draw any kind of lines of connection, it's to the southwest.
She's gonna look over at Locks. Boost me up. And she's gonna ask him to help her up on the roof.
Yeah, Locks immediately just sort of like kneels down and puts his hands up for her to be able to step into it, and then he'll stand and lift her up and try to follow after her as well.
Vera's going to get up on the roof and she is going to scream Annabelle's name as loud as she can. And she is going to does that work? No. Okay. I thought prestidigitation would allow me to kind of magnify, but I guess not.
I think thaumaturgy does that.
That's what it is. It's thaumaturgy that does that. Yeah, so she's just going to yell Annabelle's name as loud as she can, and then she's going to try to just listen over the crowd and the noise and the illusions and the celebrations and the drunks, and she's just going to try to hear anything and see if she can get any kind of response.
And we see Vera on the rooftop, Locks climbing up after her, Vera kind of shouting into the night of Aladalgo as this party goes on around her. And as we kind of pull away from Vera, very quickly her voice is lost in the noise of the revelry of Mardival. I think that's where we're going to end tonight's session. So, yeah. All right. This is I love this game so much. I'm going to pass things over to my players once again, so that they can remind you of anything that they might have going on, where you might be able to find them on the internet, give any kind of parting shots that they might want to take, and then we're going to call it an evening. So we will go in reverse order that we went in the beginning, or whatever order you popcorn it. But we're going to start with Kenya.
Okay. I was hoping that going back to the casino, this would not happen to this poor girl. So that was a brilliant game, as usual, Jeremy. I am very happy we were able to play tonight and get together and work everyone's schedules out. Always a wonderful time. I am excited for figuring out how exactly we are going to blow up an entire winery. That is going to be a wonderful adventure to undergo with this fine group of folks. My poor girl. Thank you everybody for watching. And again, I'm just going to drop the link in chat real quick again. My friend is running a charity on Friday, so if you guys could swing by her Twitch channel, it would be awesome. She would very greatly appreciate it. And we're playing tomorrow, right? Tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. We'll play again tomorrow. So I'm gonna pass it down over to Locks.
Yeah, great game, great session as always. I feel like things are really ramping up, and I think like we've kind of said that before, but I really feel like it's like there are multiple things sort of coming to a head, and all of these sort of like disparate threads are kind of like coming back together in this really like terrifying fashion. And it's just been like masterfully concocted, Jeremy. Just the pace of this and the nice long sort of climb to this boiling point. This frog is very happy to be in this pot of boiling water, I have to say. So thank you, Jeremy. And yeah, I'm Matt. I played Locks, and yeah, I really love this game. I'm gonna pass it off to M.
Yeah, I echo everything that everyone has said so far. It's really cool to see all the things unfolding, things that make sense, things that still don't make sense, things that we think that make sense and probably don't. But yeah, super excited. Always really interesting to see what is going to come next. So had a really, really great time. And with that, I'll pass it to Austin.
Oh, this game is so good. Never before have I felt so truly trapped and fucked in a D&D game, and I love it so much. I have no idea how we're going to win, and yet I have an unearned amount of confidence that we will, because that's the character I'm playing. This is so much fun. Jeremy, as always, hats off to you. I don't know how you pull it together every time to make something this special. Again, you make me feel things, and that's just no TV doesn't do that. Movies don't do that always. But I have a great time every time. I can't be found online, so don't look for me. I don't have anything to plug. I guess I will plug the concept of carcinization. Everything's becoming crabs. Isn't that interesting? And with that, I'll pass it on to Karen.
And how am I supposed to follow up with that? Okay, so this game is amazing. I love it. I love the characters. I love what we're doing. I am so terrified for what's coming next. The scariest thing I heard tonight, I think, was when the Contessa said, "That is too powerful for the Padre to do." And I went, oh, fuck. So yeah, we got that to look forward to. Cannot wait till we play again. And the only thing I get to plug right now is Mini Train Dwayne tomorrow night, Call of Cthulhu. We are playing our Mythos Investigators game, so I cannot wait to get scared shitless. So that'd be fun. So pass it back to you, Game Master.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, very excited to see what you all do tomorrow with the Cthulhu game, and then, as Em touched on earlier, on Thursday, also on Mini Terrain Domain on Twitch. It should be, I think, this week back to playing Kids on Bikes, which is a ton of fun. So yeah, definitely go and check us out over there. But this game, again, I know that we say the same thing pretty much every single time that we play this, but it really is just an absolute blast every time that we sit down to play. Knowing that, again, that I can just give a little bit, just a tiny little bit to each one of you, and you'll make something of it. You'll make it, you'll bring it weight and gravity and meaning. And it's, yeah, an absolute joy to run this game for all of you. So thank you very, very much for for giving it your all every single time that we sit down to play, and for trusting me enough to take it into some pretty dark corners sometimes, for each of your characters, and trusting that it's going to be okay, that we're going to get through it, and hopefully by the end of all of this, your characters will have quite a personal journey that they've gone on, is the hope. So, yeah. Thank you very much again, for everybody who is tuning in, whether you watched live with us this evening or whether you are tuning in at some point in the future. To all of you and to all of you wonderful players, I love you all. Thank you very, very much for making this whole thing enjoyable and something that I can look forward to doing. Yeah, I think we're going to go ahead and call it an evening. I'm going to close things out the same way that I do every time, and that is to remind you all that kindness is a free action. It costs you absolutely nothing to be kind to someone. The world is a really scary place right now, especially in certain corners of it. So I think kindness goes extra distance nowadays. So if you can, be nice. If you can't, then maybe just don't be around those people. But yeah, until next time, may your dice roll high and your snacks always be within reach.